Okay, we got to get these bloody pistons in. So they should be at the right height, you would think. So we'll make sure we got plenty of oil around the place. Get over there too. Can't have too much oil. Probably do with a better oil can. Now we've got a number 2 and a number 1, so we've got to find where they went. There's number 2, number 2. So the O-rings are in. So we should be able to line this up. It is important to hold your mouth right. And there we go. So I've cleaned all the threads on the bolts as well. On the wire brush on the grinder, just on the buffer there. So now remember these blokes, the housing's thicker one end than the other. I suppose you could Loctite these in if you wanted to. Up to you. Okay, I will check those later and just make sure. So I'd just like to see if it all still turns for us. I think it's okay, it feels a bit firm. Oh, there we go. Now she's turning. All right, I probably need a bigger bar to do that turning with. We'll give this one a bit of a wipe and a so that's turning, so we know we're okay there. We're not stuck in the ball. Same thing over this side. Just a bit of a wipe on. We'll bring this in, line up the pistons. This is important, but don't put any weight or bolts or anything in until you can get these pistons lined up. Can't have been holding my mouth right for that one. I might try and get these, alternate and try and get the pistons out a little more even if I can. Hey, look at that. Oh shit, I was going to say I didn't quite hit the floor, but it did. I just full of shit, don't worry about it. If those are too close together there. Okay, you can see I've got the end caps on and the pump turns. That's how we'd like it to be. But you'll notice I had a little bit of trouble getting the pistons in. And I'll tell you a story. I've been playing with this. It's about an hour or so later and I had to go on the search and actually see what was going on, why things weren't going right. So one thing is on the bottom of these fellas, you can see, you can see that groove for the pins is offset, which there's a shorter side and a longer side. So if you sit both of them together this way, the gap between where can I get that? The gap between them is narrower than if you set it this way, it's wider. And look, that's fine. You have the narrower setting as it is, and you'll see on the back here there's witness marks. Now when you're mechanicking, witness marks are worth their weight in gold. And you can see a little witness mark here where the rubbing block has been rubbing back and forth. And you can see on the other side it's rough cast. I had all that in right, that's no worries. The other thing though is that with the aftermarket pistons, they are flat machined on both sides. So where normally you could just use that as the cast side versus the machine side to give you a hint on which way it went, you'd have no trouble. But the aftermarket parts didn't have that, so that's all right. But what the problem I had was the pistons were just out a little bit wide and I couldn't work out what was going on to bring them in. So I popped the pump apart, I pulled the pins, I checked that I had this back to front, because back in the past I can remember I did that wrong once back when Noah was a boy. And I thought, oh, perhaps I've bloody done that again. And I didn't mention that to you, I know, and I thought, no, I'm pretty sure I'm right. But so I checked all that and that was okay, put it back together, still the same thing. So what did I find? How did I get back together? Well, on these rubbing blocks here, you can see, there you go, you can see this little right angle here. So where this sits up into the pump and rubs up and back and forth up along the back there, that's got to be a nice flat smooth surface. Now on the new ones, on the Sparex ones, when they'd machined them, the outside diameter was correct, but the inside diameter had a very slight chamfer in there. And over the whole assembly, it made it, what do I have? A little under 20 thou, about 18 thousandths of an inch. So what I ended up doing was I got a file and I just squared that shoulder up on both sides, pop in, it went, no troubles at all. So what's happened is when they've made them, was when they come along and I would imagine they would have done this cut all in one piece, and well, you'd think so anyway. Well, that's what it looked like to me, that they'd bring the milling cutter down and they'd bring him in and they'd just right along there, and you'd have a 90-degree angle here. Well, this angle, instead of being straight up and down, it was just out like that, ever so slightly. The outside shoulder here was correct. The inside shoulder had a bit of a chamfer. So what I had to do on my pump, and look, I'll document all this and I'll talk to Sparex about it. They won't know. They won't know for sure. So what we did was just evened them up, and I evened them both up. I made sure they were both right, and as soon as I did that, everything went in. The whole lot just popped together. So that's something to look for. I don't know that you'd look forward to that, but yeah, so you don't know, it's just little things trip you up all the time. Now, you'll see also that I've taken the control valve and I've put the T-piece on the end of it and I've put the little pin in. Now, these little tits on here go up So you can see the raised edge there, they go to the top. And so I've got this so that the pin pushes down. So if something goes wrong, if this pin breaks one arm off here or something like that, just from fatigue, this won't go off and cause you trouble. So all we need to do is run that up into the bore. And I've got to line that up with the other end, which is, there we go. And when you raise and lower your pump, that fella's just going to be in there. Now, I don't know, can you see? You can just see in the end there, this hole here you're looking at, you can just see in there that that's hooked into the square of this yoke. So when the PTO turns the pump, that yoke will actually go back and forth and keep the hydraulic control valve nice and free. So, and that feels good. That has to fall in under its own load. I haven't gone and filled up my farm oil pot yet, so anyway, we'll, bloody hard to get good help. I was busy frigging around with that other. So once this pump goes in and the top comes down, we can spread its legs and pop this on. So that's looking okay. All right, now the relief valve, this hasn't got a reading on it, but a new relief valve comes with the kit, so we are using it. Now that fella there, I can't remember when they all changed and things like that, but I'm not sure where this bloke relieved from. So this sits in a seat, and when it reaches a certain pressure, it'll have a bit of oil in behind here helping it. It lets it go. This fella here, when it lets the oil out, it'll spray it out through here. And look, that's okay. On some of them, they actually put a little guide there to stop the oil stirring up the oil in the bottom. On ours, we're not going to have all that trouble, are we? Because it's going to be so clean, you could eat your lunch off it. So I'll just grab my spanner that I've left over here. And I'll put a bit of, we should actually go right with the spanner right up. Put a bit of go onto that. So that's pretty well our pump done. I'm not going to put it on the tractor straight away. What I would like to do is lift the lift cover now and clean all inside out, clean the whole housing out. And I'm going to look into these fittings here, these half UNF fittings, so we can offer a fitting for, well look, two things. One is for testing, and you know, you can actually pop a test gauge in here if you choose to. And the other, well, the other's just if you want to get an external source of oil. So the oil from the pump here comes out this, where are we, this one here, and there's a gasket around here, and that goes up to the hydraulic cover. So it's the same oil supply. You have to have the lever up or down to have oil supply or return. So that's not looking too bad. There's not much else. We'll just slide the PTO up the back. And we should be able to give that a turn nice and easy. You can probably see that, I think. You can even see this fella here just rocking around. And that's to keep it free. So there you go. That's how to do your hydraulic pump. On the later model pump with the O-rings in here. What I will do is, now I've got my spanner here, off camera, I'm going to take each bolt out put a dab of Loctite on it and put each bolt back in once more. Whether you do that or not, it's entirely up to you. And I'll probably Loctite these fellows as well. Look, a dab of Loctite, don't put heaps of it on, just a little drop, and that's enough to stop anything happening down the track. So there you go. TE20 hydraulic pump, all ready to rock and roll.